I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go.
Welcome. So we have been in Fairfax, Virginia for like 2 weeks, it feels like. So all my past videos have been on Banfield, or the most recent one with I just had Josh Ritter on the show. We've been talking about some pretty heavy cases, and there are some content warnings for this one. And the content warnings would be around pregnancy, around allegations of fraud, and then also around eating concerns. I'm not going to go into details about eating concerns, but like I'm just going to briefly mention a little bit of a few things related to that. And so welcome to Super Donette. Just call me Kim P, and also Lisa, and to everybody else watching in chat. Welcome, welcome. Today we are talking about the Laura Owens case. I do have a prior video that I did. So there was a period of time where content creators would get like threatened with, I don't know, like if you said her name, she'd kind of get mad at you. So I just called it Jane Doe for the last video that I did, but I do have it linked down below. But it was talking about Clayton Echard and false pregnancies. And so I have that prior video linked down below. And really, I've been following this case since. So Dave Neal, he has a YouTube channel here. There are multiple other people that have covered this. Kathy from Gossip Rumor and Innuendo. I know she did a like 14-minute, a short overview of this case. But the video I did was before we knew that there were other alleged victims. And the allegations here is that Laura Owens would use a sonogram of twins, and somebody image searched it, did a reverse. So one of the victims did a reverse image search and found where this sonogram was taken from, and how it was edited to make it look like she was pregnant with twins. The Clayton Echard story made absolutely no sense because they never had intercourse. Okay, so we're gonna go way back. So we're gonna start with Clayton Echard. He was one of the last alleged victims because he sued her very publicly, and because he was a contestant on The Bachelor and maybe The Bachelorette. Don't get me lying there, but because he was a pretty well-known person, and he did not mind this going public, because some people think that, oh, you're this public figure, you would never want anybody to know all of this. But he sued her for paternity and then was awarded damages for, I think, legal for all those other things. If you'd like to look that up, you can look it up. But she has also been charged, she's been indicted on 14 counts of like fraud. And I do have lots of different things listed down below, and where I'm getting some of my information from. I always like to put my resources down in the description. But with the Clayton Echard case, so he's a realtor, and she reached out to him for business purposes. And so they met up, and like something happened to where she gave him an oral presentation. Okay. Oral presentation. And that's what happened. But then I think he started to distance himself from her a little bit. But then she reaches out later, because I think she can maybe sense that he's backing off from her some. And she tells him that she's pregnant. And not only is she pregnant, but she's pregnant with boy-girl twins. And that's just not how science works. So if you have intercourse with somebody on a Friday, you might not test pregnant for like another 4 weeks or so. Like normal, it wouldn't be immediately. So you wouldn't have the one thing one day and then immediately test positive for pregnancy. And even if somebody did immediately know, yes, that they were pregnant, you wouldn't know that it was twins. So twins typically show up later into weeks being pregnant, and you don't find out gender until much later. So all of this just had huge red flags. And he talked about it. He let it be known to the world. And he's done interviews talking about it. And it has just been, this has been one of the oddest things I've ever seen. And at first I was giving Laura the benefit of the doubt because I thought it was just this one time that maybe a person was so infatuated with somebody, they really didn't want to lose them. But there seemed to be this financial motive because when things didn't go well in a relationship, the allegations is that she would then threaten to sue for a like child. She would then request money to either not be pregnant, or like there was always money being requested, and there were other men that did just pay her so that things went away. There were some other gentlemen that did try to sue her civilly as well, but oh my gosh, there might have been two oral, but there was no intercourse. So even if there was more than one oral presentation, there was no intercourse. Now I watched, was it Becoming Mary Jane? There was a show with I think it's Gabby. I think her name is, or she has, but it was a show where a woman saved the sperm, and then she used a turkey baster to. So don't do this, okay? Don't do crimes. Don't trap people in situations. But like she saved what happened and tried to get pregnant later. But that was on a TV show, okay? None of that seemed to have happened here, and the details just did not make any sense. And things went to the point where in court, there are allegations that she wore a baby bump. Or so I could stick out my stomach and I could look pregnant, but that's just because I like cookies and I was pregnant before, and like mom bod, if I stick out my stomach, I could look a little pregnant. Never ever guess if somebody is pregnant or not. Like that is not, unless they are like clearly 8 or 9 months pregnant, do not ever, try to guess. But with this case, and I'm going to get to the psychology of why somebody might do something like this. I have no clue why she did this. And I don't know if her lawyer, because she's been charged with a crime. And with those fraud cases, I don't know if her lawyer is going to try to claim mental health. So y'all know if mental health comes into this, I will definitely be following this very closely. I don't know what they're going to do. I also want to talk about DARVO, and I will go into that a little bit later, like exactly how that breaks down. Because when I look at a case like this, because Laura Owens keeps trying to make herself the victim in this situation. And so please don't dox or be mean to her. Or so some people have done, like they've shared, memes of her, or I don't know, like, because I do, I'm not sure. I would highly recommend somebody that's doing these things have their own therapist, and because when she's confronted about her behavior, she loses it. If you want to go and watch body cam footage, Law and Crime, and I don't know if Court TV has it. I saw it on Law and Crime, but there is body cam footage of the police coming to her parents' house, because she lives with her parents, to execute a search warrant, and she absolutely loses it. We are not going to watch that. I also just wanted to agree with this comment that sometimes she would attempt to use the pregnancy to have the person stay with her as well, which is just not something that you should do. And Miranda A. Life said with Clayton, it was blackmail to stay in the relationship with her. She offered to not be pregnant if he would continue to date her. And that's just not like, if somebody doesn't want to date you, let them go. Like that's just not okay. Uh and so I did see the Instagram, or I think it was on TikTok or something, because there was somebody that faked a pregnancy and delivery and ended up using one of those real dolls. But at least, but I think did her significant other think she was really pregnant? Ugh. Did her family? I thought her family thought she was really pregnant too. Like that's a bit of a problem. Okay. So I'm gonna stay focused. Y'all know I can get off track really easily. So I have a Fox 10 article that talks about her being indicted on additional charges because she was indicted related to her the incident with Clayton Echard. And then she was indicted on additional charges in Maricopa County. Um, and there are 2 counts of taking the identity of another, 2 counts of forgery, 1 count of perjury, 1 count of fraudulent schemes and artifices. Yeah, I can't say that word. And 1 count of theft by extortion, accusation of crime. Because one of the individuals, she alleged that he had been harmful to her, and she has a TED Talk out there. I haven't watched it. I don't plan to watch it, but it's my understanding that she has this TED Talk that she gave talking about this harmful relationship that she was in that's based on allegations that she made against one of the alleged victims, and he denies the claims. Okay. All right. So this came after the defendant made several inconsistent statements during a paternity hearing involving former contestant on the television program The Bachelor, Clayton Echard. And there is testimony. So if you wanted to go back and watch her testimony from that paternity trial, there are multiple. So that is available on YouTube as well. Um, Owens was the one that originally filed the lawsuit seeking child support from him. And then she dropped her claim and alleged that she had, so content warning for losing a child. She claimed that she had had a miscarriage, but there was no indication that she went to a doctor. And at that point, I think she was like 6 months. She was months. Like, it wasn't like she was a few weeks into the pregnancy. By this point, she was getting almost closer to that due date. And she alleged that she did a telemedicine visit. But like, because normally for that type of issue, you would be seen by the doctor. If they knew that you were going into labor, they would actually try to stop labor and try to maintain the pregnancy if possible. They would assess everything. There would be some type of medical intervention. And there seemed to be no records of her ever being seen by an OBGYN or any of those things. And I think there are accusations that some of the things that she alleged, because I think she tried to submit that she went to some clinic. And I think there were questions about how accurate those documents were. I do not know, but those are the accusations. And so let's see. All right. All right. So that was that part. There is a Justice for Clayton Echard or Justice for Clayton website, and then also Victims of Laura Owens website. So there are 3 gentlemen that have made themselves public as being like former, that she had done similar schemes with them. And so it's Michael Maraschini, Clayton Echard is in the middle, and Greg Gillespie. I can't say that one, but yes, that those are the 3 gentlemen that allege that she did a very similar thing with them. Okay. Hi. And they are looking forward to like something happening with this. So the issues, all the things with Clayton, that was from 2023. And on the Justice for Clayton website, they break down all of the information with specific dates. for everything that occurred during his case. Let me go back to this one. Each one of the gentlemen has their own story, and then I think there are 2 anonymous victims that have not come forward. Like, they have not released their names. So there are 2 anonymous individuals that have also come forward with their stories involving this. All right. All right. So we talked about the charges. Good. All right. So now let's talk about the psychology behind faking a pregnancy and what could drive such complex behavior. And to most of us, probably almost all of us, faking a pregnancy is unimaginable. And yet, this does happen. Some people do it for attention, some people do it to trick or, to have somebody stay with them longer. I watch a lot of dramas, and so that's often a theme in a drama where situations like that can definitely happen. So, is it just manipulation, or is there something deeper at play? So, in general, behavior can be complex, and so I do not know what's happening with Laura specifically, but in general, there can be a variety of things that can be at play. So, in some cases, we might be looking for borderline personality traits or a history of trauma being an underlying factor. Faking a pregnancy might be a cry for help stemming from feelings of abandonment, fear, or instability. And some people, especially those that struggle with feeling loved or secure, might resort to extreme measures just to feel needed. My concern with this case is that there was also a financial motive too. It wasn't just about being with the person, it was also financial. Okay. And Lisa, you are correct. Sometimes in the most extreme cases, they might seek out to, like, they might try to get a baby, which is very, very scary. Okay. All right. And the information that I just talked about, that comes from a Medium article. It's an opinion article, but it's based in solid information. Laura Owens did her own, uh so she did a Medium. So I'm trying to control my reactions because so she feels like she's been bullied, and that ignited, that cruelty fueled her eating issues, and she wrote a whole article on it, sharing pictures of herself. And so a lot of that, to me, so just for me in general, a lot of that feels like still trying to get attention and still trying to make herself the victim instead of just being quiet, going forward with these court cases, making sure, working on, the self, realizing that a person was caught in this scheme. She continues to try to make herself the victim. And that's where DARVO, for me personally, so that's where and I don't, once again, I don't know that that's happening, what's happening with her, but I have a link to this article down in the description. But DARVO is deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. And so, a lot of times we talk about it in terms of narcissistic harm, but it can be used in a lot of, it's a manipulation tactic used by individuals that are trying to, they get caught in a situation and now they're trying to make themselves the victim. And so it can be used by individuals that gaslight, and so a bunch of different situations. So the first step is deny. So the person is caught and they deny that whatever they're doing or whatever they're being, or they deny what they're being accused of. I'm not sure if Laura Owens will ever admit that she faked the pregnancies, or if she did, I feel like she'll try to blame the victims somehow. I could be wrong, but those are just my general thoughts based on just publicly available information, pure sofa speculation, as Paul would say. Sometimes, so that goes from deny to attack. So then the perpetrator attacks the other person by questioning their mental health, honesty, or actions. Reverse victim and offender, and that's where the perpetrator attempts to switch roles with the victim. Instead of accepting responsibility for their actions, they try to make the original victim into the perpetrator. And like it's a lot. Uh yeah, and so that's where I think she kind of wanted to get famous on some of this. I think her father, or I think one of her family members was famous, like was actually famous. Hey, mama. All right. It really just is a something that we don't really see a lot, and so that's why I am glad that we are talking about it. And so with faking a pregnancy, there is a something called pseudocesis, and I might be saying that wrong, but that's a false pregnancy where the body will actually react. There will be physical symptoms. The person will get morning sick, but it is a psychological condition, normally with an intense desire for pregnancy, an overwhelming yearning to conceive, often due to infertility. Sometimes there have been multiple miscarriages, or as a person is approaching menopause, and it can cause the brain to trigger hormonal changes and physical symptoms that mimic pregnancy. And so sometimes it can come up as a response to loss and grief. So where somebody that has lost a child, or the end of a relationship, sometimes it can come up in that situation. And then there are mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, personality disorders, or schizophrenia may present in individuals faking a pregnancy. And then it could also be unmet emotional needs. So a history of childhood harm, lack of emotional support can fuel an intense desire for attention, care, and nurturing role of motherhood. And if somebody, because really the worst time you really, because somebody that's not okay mentally, because sometimes what happens is like the faking the pregnancy, that's just going to start this other spiral. It's not going to be particularly helpful. And so, all right. And I don't know that she'll ever admit it. So Just Call Me Kim says, I think she knows she was never pregnant because she had to find the she had to use that sonogram picture. She, they were trying to get DNA because I think she alleged that there was like, because they were trying to prove paternity with DNA. Like there were all of these things that happened, especially with the Clayton Echard case. And it was just, it was a lot. Oh, somebody also mentioned that she used her sister's sonogram. So in that Medium article, they show pictures of her with her nephew. And I'm not sharing that article. I don't recommend, I don't think it's, I don't recommend looking at it. I found it while I was researching for this case. A fake pregnancy can also be Munchausen syndrome. So where somebody for that fictitious disorder, or what we used to call Munchausen syndrome, where somebody is trying to assume the patient role to gain attention, sympathy, or care. And so somebody might do this for attention and sympathy, primary goal being to be the center of attention and receive the emotional nurturing and caretaking that they may have lacked in childhood. It might be a way for somebody to feel important, assuming the role of a patient, especially as an expectant mother. It might also be a way to avoid responsibility or potentially gain advantages. So, y'all know here, I try not to pathologize everything. So, I don't think everything is a mental health disorder. I think sometimes people make bad choices. Uh, if you see the body cam footage, so the body cam footage is disturbing at times. And so during the body cam footage where the police are trying to execute a search warrant, Laura starts talking about her dad that has maybe mobility issues, and the police are just trying to execute the search warrant and get the things that they need. She's trying to call her lawyer. It really is. And she is screaming and yelling and losing it this entire time. I'm not going to play it here. It was an interesting watch, but it was a lot. And it did seem like she was after the money. Um and that's where, so they're but just because somebody has a mental health condition doesn't mean that they don't understand that what they're doing is wrong. Okay? And so that's where I would not be surprised if there was something going on. But because I believe there were times that she threatened to harm herself if people broke up with her, and those are red flags. So those are huge red flags, and you should never stay with somebody just because they say they'll harm themselves if you break up with them. That's incredibly controlling. That is a problem, and they need help. And that's where, if you know their family, you might reach out to them and say, I'm concerned about their mental health. This relationship isn't working anymore. I do need to end it. Like, this isn't good for me. But I am concerned that because that they might do something. And if they have friends, I would just give somebody a heads up. And then protect your own safety, because sometimes people in those situations, they can also start to have that ideation towards somebody else if that relationship truly is over. Some people say it as a threat, but they don't act on it. Some people do act on it, and so and you never know which situation you're dealing with. Yeah, Lisa, I get a lot of just based on what I've heard about the situation, watching the body cam, watching court, because she testified in court. I watched her testimony. None of it made sense. Like, they never had intercourse. How is there a pregnancy? And like, you never sought medical attention outside of like one, like maybe I don't know, like the whole story just didn't make any sense. And she wouldn't back down. She wouldn't back down to just say, made it up, or like that just did not happen. And I don't think it will. I don't think it will happen. This is one of the first cases that we're seeing somebody get charged on this bigger scale, because I'm sure there are other people that where somebody has threatened something like this. I don't know that it's ever gotten to the point of paternity court and somebody lying in court, and that fraud, that bigger scheme, because that's what she was charged with. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Let me look at the question. If you're in a relationship and they won't let you leave, you're in a cult. Exactly. It's a problem. If you're in a relationship, if you're in a church, if you're in any organization and you can't leave, that's a high demand, high control group or a cult. Like, that's a problem. They're controlling what you think, they're controlling what you believe. You have to do what they say or else something bad is going to happen. That's not a safe, healthy relationship. And so there were multiple she did change her story a lot. I'll be interested to see who her lawyer is, because I think she's went through multiple lawyers. The last lawyer would go back and forth with Justice for Clayton people on Twitter, and I think that resulted in some potential, I don't know, something resulted in some issues for him. But I just can't. I think it was more about the relationship than the actual baby. I do think it was more about being desperate for the relationship and the money. Some of those men paid her. I think it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, I don't think it was like they gave her $50 or $100. Like, I think we're talking about a lot of money. Oh, she has a public defender for Arizona. Ooh, God bless public defenders. Thank you. So appreciate them. Because she is claiming that she doesn't have money because she has judgments against her. She was trying to claim bankruptcy. I don't know who had it on their channel, but I saw her bankruptcy court video too. And so, yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to put the if you can't leave, you're in a cult on a t-shirt, and I'm gonna have to put don't do crimes. If I ever get some free time, we'll see what happens. And so Kibi mentioned, I feel like she used the financial scheme to punish the men for not wanting to have a relationship with her. Like, hey, if I can't have you, I'm at least going to get some money out of this. And like, just leave, just break up. Like, it's not, that's not okay. And then, because it's my understanding with Clayton, the part of the reason why he sued her is because didn't just let it go. It's my understanding he would have speaking engagements because he alleged that he lost money because of her, that she would reach out to different organizations he was involved with, that she was openly making these horrific claims and saying all these things, and he lost business because of these false claims. And so that was part of his judgment from my understanding of things. And so, yeah. And so if she testifies, I will definitely cover that. Because if she testifies in the fraud case, I will definitely cover that. This is coming out of Arizona. Yeah. So this is in Maricopa County in Arizona. I don't know if it'll be streamed. I believe they have covered a lot of aspects of this case. So the true crime community didn't pick it up when it was in civil court. Like, it really didn't become big until the most recent charges related to Clayton and then the other victims. That's when it came up. So we'll see what happens. All right. I do think I do think they will try to get a pool because we all want to see it. Because it's gonna be a train wreck. Like, it's gonna be a lot. I thought Clayton did a really good job on the stand, sticking to the facts and talking about what happened, because I do believe he testified in the paternity suit. And I've never heard the other alleged victims. I haven't heard them speak before. Yeah, but how much prison time? And I don't know that it matters. Let's see. Because I think the biggest thing is for her to stop. Prison time is Laura Owens facing. Because I know it's 14 counts. I don't know. Y'all know I'm not a lawyer. Please ask one of the lawyers. Ooh, is this going to be the judge? Cool. So my heart goes out to, because the last I heard is they are still looking for Savannah Guthrie's mother. And I don't know enough about that. And I do hope that she is found safe. I did hear a report that they might have found like blood at the scene, which sometimes that's not a great sign. And so I do hope that that her mother is found safe. I do know there's like a nationwide bolo for her, and I can't imagine what Savannah's going through. My mom is my absolute best friend, and so Savannah seems like she's close to her mom. And even if she wasn't, like, this would still be, but like it just hits hard when when it is somebody that's a really good friend that you're really close to. It kind of hits a little bit harder. So yes. I'm also following, I know Corey Richins is coming up, and I put it on my calendar. I saw reporting live from my sofa, talked about jury selection will start, I think, next week. And then the trial is slated to start February 23rd. And so I will definitely be keeping up with that case. Yes. Make sure to hug your loved ones. Let them know how much you care about them. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Wait a minute. Thank you, Miranda. There's a report on Inside Edition's channel with Mike Maraschini. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Me and names. All right. And if you want a very detailed breakdown of some of the investigative reports, so I know Dave Neal, he has a detailed report of the investigative report. I didn't want to dig too deep into this one because it's not okay. I know most of the details, and it's definitely a problem. Yeah, so caught up to speed with Corey Richins. Yes. And so Emily D. Baker, I like um how she does summaries at the end of her videos because she covered all of the pretrial motions of the pretrial hearings and everything. And she has some great updates. Of course, your other true crime uh YouTubers also have great updates on that case too. So those are my thoughts with Laura Owens. Please let me know if there are other cases that you all are following or looking at. I did a short talking about Brendan Banfield. If they have, if they, and hopefully they will stream Juliana's sentencing because Juliana hasn't been sentenced yet. So whenever her sentencing is scheduled, and then whenever Brendan is sentenced, I will watch those and then likely do reaction videos to both of those as well. So glad the jury took their time. So anybody that was following the Brendan Banfield case right here in Virginia, uh, the jury took their time, and I think they read through all those letters. I think they read through the FetLife messages. They might have looked at the digital evidence, and they might have looked at back at, Christine's phone activity. They probably had Joseph Ryan's, activity. And then I know there have been some press conferences. I haven't been able to watch all of those just yet. But yeah, February 13th for Juliana, maybe. Thank you. Okay, I will put that on my calendar. So I do. Okay. So we might talk about that on Saturday if that happens. Because sometimes things get delayed, but if that happens February 13th, I will definitely talk about that on that Saturday. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Chat is the best. That's why I like going live. I so adore each and every one of you. If you aren't subscribed, consider. If you like true crime, you like psychology, we talk about those things here. If you need a break from the crimey stuff, I do have therapeutic resources. So I talk about anxiety, depression, ADHD. If you have a general mental health question, you can put it in the comments, and I will often do a short video, or I'll link a video if I've already covered the topic in depth. And so thank you all for y'all's time. I'm going to go feed my kiddo. He was finally back to school. We had a 2-hour delay today. We have a 2-hour delay tomorrow. These kids have been home. I thought it was since, what was it? They had been home since January 22nd. So technically, January 22nd was their last day of school, and they are finally back in school. I so appreciate you all. I will see y'all next time. Have a good one. Bye.